City County Planning Commission, please come to order. Ms. Martin, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Rich?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Balance? Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Coppinger?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert? Commissioner Gay?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Warren?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Houston? Chairman Renner?
Everyone's had a chance to review the summary minutes, February 21st meeting. Any corrections to those minutes? No corrections. I'd ask for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Rich?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale? Commissioner Balance? Commissioner Clark? Commissioner Coppinger? Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert? Commissioner Gay?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Warren?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison?
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Renner?
Also in the packet, you had the subdivision approvals. Any questions on those? No questions. Letters of credit and performance bonds, we don't have any at this meeting, so we'll move down. Old business, we do not have any, and it brings us up to the public hearing. First item tonight for public hearing is docket number 2019-03 FLUM. James Devon and Suzanne Butler have filed an application for a future land use map amendment containing approximately 5.787 acres located on a tract of land at the western corner of Red Pond Road and Bristow Road from agriculture to rural density residential. And also on docket number 2019-09Z County, the same applicants have filed to rezone that same tract of land, the 5.787 acres, from agriculture to RE, which is residential estate, and we will have the staff report from Ms. Ramsey.
Thank you, Chair Runner. And in the interest of continuity, I guess I should say I do swear to tell the truth.
Oh, we left him out. I apologize, sir. I apologize. When we didn't have those, I skipped right down. I apologize.
Ma'am, can you swear to tell the truth?
Without objection, we'll just tell Jessica to put that in the minutes, as if it had been,
That works.
as if it had been said.
Everyone present. Okay, thank you. I do apologize. I'm in a hurry.
Well, we had a pre-application conference for this property you see outlined in yellow on August 9th of last year. The property, as Chair Runner has already said, is zoned agriculture. The land use is agriculture, as is much of the area around it, with some single-family and then some vacant tracts as well. And currently, the future land use map is designated as agriculture, with a request to amend that to rural density residential. If that's successful, the applicants would like to rezone the property from agriculture to residential estate in order to develop the property with a maximum of 3 single-family residential lots. So this property's been zoned agriculture as far as our records show. If the FLUM amendment is approved, the proposed RE zone is potentially compatible in the rural density residential FLUM category and may be appropriate if this body determines that it's compatible with the surrounding area. Jumping down to the compatibility with surrounding development section, I wanted to point out that a site characteristic review indicates that there are adequate facilities and infrastructure available to support the proposed development other than adequate water flow and pressure to meet the fire control standards of Warren County. There's also a mature tree line running along the southern property line and 2 sinkholes on the western third of the property and a portion of a large sinkhole on the northern eastern portion of the property. Below that, I just want to hit the points to consider if the FLUM amendment is approved. The proposal would be consistent with the FLUM and rural density residential category. The proposed development complies with the majority of the site characteristics review criteria, with limitations noted regarding road width and fire protection, which we'll get a little more into here in a second. The proposed general development plan complies with a majority of the review criteria for site design and compatibility and meets the minimum requirements in the zoning ordinance. And the last point there, the average tract size within a half mile of the proposed rezoning south of Interstate 65 is 16.79 acres. So going on to the next page, we have our future land use map section, and the 2 descriptions of agriculture and rural density residential are listed there for your reference. LU 114 of the comprehensive plan outlines procedures for amending the FLUM, and that the approval should of a FLUM amendment should be based on at least one of the 3 criteria you see below there, And the applicant, judging from their narrative, has chosen to address the third, which deals with compatibility. And so here's the narrative they included. The owner's property has 647.03 feet of road frontage on Bristow Road and 365.62 feet on Red Pond Road. The total acres consist of 5.787 acres. The proposed lots owners are wishing to create will blend with the various size lots along Bristow Road. The proposed development plan conditions restricting the development of single-family homes on these lots will ensure their compatibility with the surrounding homes on Bristow Road. Moving down to the site characteristics review, the transportation infrastructure section, I mentioned that just a second about the road width. Bristow Road and both Red Pond Road are 16 feet wide. Below that, I mentioned earlier about the not having adequate flow to meet the minimum fire protection requirements. This proposal is exempt from that because less than 5 lots are proposed. Moving on to page 3, I've already kind of mentioned the mature tree line and the sinkholes. The applicant did commit to preserving a portion of the existing vegetation, but did not address the sinkholes that are present on the property. Prime farmland, the property contains a soil type that is classified as farmland of statewide importance. The property contains soil types that are classified as somewhat limited and very limited regarding soil suitability for septic tank absorption fields. Below that, I do want to make a note in site design and compatibility review, the building materials review. There is actually more to that. You'll see there it only references the foundation, but the applicant had agreed to expand on that a little bit, and so the development plan conditions reflect that. And building orientation, staff just noted that the new building should face Bristow Road or Red Pond Road. So going to page 4, I'll go ahead and read their development plan conditions that they have committed to. Number 1, no mobile or manufactured homes. Number 2, all new residences shall be a minimum of 1,400 square feet of living space and have a minimum of a 1-car attached garage not to be included in minimum square footage. Number 3, the development shall be limited to a maximum of 3 lots. Number 4, all homes shall have a brick or split face block foundation. All homes shall be constructed of brick, vinyl, stone, or concrete-based siding. Number 5, the applicant shall obtain a site evaluation from the Barren River District Health Department, not Healthy Department, as that says there. Apologize for the typo. Although it is healthy, I guess, so you could go either way. For the installation of a septic system on each lot prior to the recordation of a plat. Number 6, the location of any proposed driveway shall be coordinated with Warren County Public Works prior to the application for a building permit. And number 7, existing healthy trees located on the proposed lots within the development with a caliper of 12 inches or greater and which are located within 25 feet of the proposed rear property lines will be preserved. Just going down to the Focus 2030 category review, the proposal may comply with the future land use map and with LU 111 and 112 if this body deems the proposal compatible with the surrounding area. Again, sorry for another typo, it says surround, should be surrounding. And if the FLUM amendment to rural density residential is approved, and if this body determines that the proposal is compatible with the area and complies with LU 113. Below that, LU2, it's up to you all to determine if the proposal is a high-quality development that will protect the character of the area. Going on to page 5, wanted to note again the proposal complies with CF 5.3 since which deals with the fire control standards, but less than 5 lots are proposed, so it's exempt from this requirement. Below that, the proposal does not comply with NCR 1.1 or NCR 1.3, which deals with addressing sinkholes. Planning Commission should determine compliance with NCR 241. This proposal is located on roadways less than the 18-foot minimum standard for county roads and is served by less than 250 gallons per minute of water. This body should determine whether or not the proposed lots will result in an increased amount of development pressure on the countryside. And below that, HN21 and HN4, this body should determine if the proposed development is located in a suitable location and if it will enhance the array of housing options available in the area. So just to wrap up, again, this is a proposal of 3 single-family residential lots, first requesting the FLUM amendment from agriculture to rural density residential, and if that's successful, a rezoning request from agriculture to residential estate. And I believe that's all I have, and the applicant is here.
Thank you, ma'am. Commissioner, have any questions for Mr. Ramsey before we hear from the applicant?
Do we know how driveways are going to be placed? Is each lot going to have its own driveway, and is there enough frontage to do that? Because I know Bristow Road is quite a busy little road out there.
It doesn't look like the applicant has mentioned anything about that in the development plan conditions, so that may be a question for them, if they want to address that. Yep.
Other questions before we hear from the applicant? Thank you, ma'am. And we'll hear from the applicant. If you'd state your name and address for us, please.
Devin Butler. I live at 1838 Smith Grove, Scottsville Road, Smith Grove, Kentucky.
And you swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And I believe you had a question concerning the driveways?
Yeah, all three drives will come out on Bristow Road right there. It's how,
Up to
yeah.
not the highway department, but I
I
guess
talked
the
with
county
Jerry
road
Young,
department.
and we made sure we had all good sight distance right through there for the driveways. That would, be.
All three of the residences going to face Bristow, or is one going to face the other
One
road?
could possibly face Red Pond. If it does, the sight distance is, it's kind of a hill. I don't know if there's enough sight distance. It would have to be up higher for it to.
That was my fear.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
what I wanted to make sure.
No, but on Bristow, it's good sight distance all the way through there.
Any other questions for the applicant? Have any questions from anyone in the audience? We have opposition to this request? Okay. Well, I think there were two people. If you'll have a seat, sir, we'll let them ask their question, and then if it's a question or a statement, then you'll have a chance to address those. Yes, ma'am, I saw your hand first. I'll need you to come to the mic if you have a question or would like to make a statement. Yes, ma'am, your name,
Christine Marota. I live at 2291 Bristow Road.
and you swear to tell the truth.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, if you'd ask your question.
I couldn't understand or hear what they were talking about, the water pressure that was going to happen on the road, because on our property, we already have a minor subdivision that has 2 1-acre lots and 2 5-acre lots. So I want to know, if we decide to build on those, how the water pressure is going to be and how that's going to involve us in adding additional properties onto the line.
That may
And
be-
I could not hear that.
That may be something staff could help them with, is that?
Yes, the staff report, we were only speaking to the minimum requirements just for the fire protection ordinance for the county. As far as how the water pressure would be impacted by new development, that would have to be answered by the Warren County Water District.
I didn't know if that had already taken into account other other properties in the area in their plan submission.
I don't know that we, I guess I don't know that we could
Guys
answer
don't
that.
have to
It would
address
have
that?
to be the water district.
Okay.
They could tell you, specifically the pressure that's available, to your property and how that might be impacted.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And I saw a hand in the back, sir. Yes. That's, we'll give you plenty of time. Yes, sir.
All right, Mike Hutchison. I live on the other side of the tree line
Okay.
from
And
Red Pond. Not opposed to it, just
But- I swear you in. Swear to tell the truth.
swear to tell the truth.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Two concerns I have are the tree line, maintaining my tree line. It runs the entire length of the less than 6 acres that they're looking at developing on. That's the backside of that is all my land, so I'm a little concerned about that, making sure it stays there, because that is our property line. And then the other issue that I was kind of concerned about was at the corner of Red Pond and Bristow, where the sinkhole is, it's a low spot, and it almost floods right now. It comes up to the road pretty much every time it rains hard. So if you put, 6,000 square feet of concrete and flatten it out, what kind of difference is this going to make to that low spot right there? Because it makes a big difference if you got to come out of, for all the people on Red Pond, if you got to go right instead of left out of your driveway and go all the way around to Porter Pike. So those are my two concerns there. So, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sir, would you like to answer that, or have anything that you'd like to add or say about that? We'll let you get to the mic first. I
It
apologize.
was preserving the tree line on the back part,
Okay.
and that's what, as far as the driveways, I just figured all of them would come out on Bristow Road, where there wouldn't be nothing come out on Red Pond on that area right there. Because there really just ain't enough sight distance on Red Pond to bring a drive out right there.
Evan, his question was about the water retention on the corner of that lot.
There is a sinkhole, and it's pretty close to the county right-of-way right there where it's at. I couldn't answer about the water.
If you had an engineer study it, if you had,
I haven't. Well, I had just a surveyor's all, but would a home change any more water than what's done? I mean, it's not gonna be increase the water to that one home. I wouldn't think it would.
This may be a question for staff. For a subdivision of this size, are they required to have a drainage plan?
Not in the sense of a larger subdivision, but drainage will be looked at through the permitting process by the Warren County Public Works Department. And of course, they'll be held to the same standard as everybody else, that you can't put more water to that location than currently goes now. But I guess to kind of answer the question a bit ago is yes, one home or even three homes does put more water faster to that location, and so you have to address that. But typically the yard sizes and stuff are looked at to address that.
So would it be safe for us to assume that if we approve this, that drainage issue will be looked at a later date by the building, by staff at some point?
Warren County Public Works staff, yes.
Public Works.
Mhm. Yeah,
Will
their
that also-
stormwater division.
Will that also address the sinkhole issue that seems to be unaddressed at this point?
Yes, the sinkhole, any sinkhole found would have to, of course, be protected as well, and they would look at that. This particular clause, I guess, that we quote, goal, objective, action item, deals with the repair of the sinkhole, which they're required to do properly, and I doubt you'd build a house on a known sinkhole anyway, but yes, that'll all be looked at during the permitting process.
Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for the applicant?
I just have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Should we vote in number 6 that the driveways should be on Bristow Road? I mean, I know he's agreed to it, but should that be added in the conditions if there's ever a question?
Binding elements or development plan conditions, as you know, are voluntary agreements made by applicants. And so any proposal, any amendment to these conditions would need to be proposed by the applicant in order to clarify the issues that you've raised. So, Mr. Butler, do you agree that the driveways for these 3 lots will all have entries on Bristow Road? Okay. So would you agree to amend your development plan conditions in binding development plan condition number 6 to read the location of any proposed driveway shall be from Bristow Road and coordinated with Warren County Public Works? Thank you, sir.
Have any other questions for the applicant? Yes, sir.
I'll just add this bit of information. We've talked about minimum fire requirements and water adequacy on lots where it's not before in the county. The Gott Fire Department is building a new fire station that will be less than a mile away from here. I've already got 2 trucks and 7 firefighters that will staff that station when it is built. So it's going to be 10 times faster, because I think they've got about a 6 to 7 mile distance to cover before they got to this neighborhood. They'll be less than a mile away and hopefully less than 6 to 8 months.
When does that come online?
I think 6 to 8 months. They've got the property, it's been donated to them, they've got the trucks, they've got the men, they just have to get the building.
So essentially, it would be safe for us to assume that before someone could build a home here, they would have the fire protection online?
I believe so.
Okay.
Any other questions? Nothing else? Thank you. We need to act on the FLUM amendment first, so I would ask for a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the proposed future land use map amendment, docket number 2019-03 FLUM, based upon testimony and documents presented as public hearing. The proposed FLUM amendment has met the directive to amend the FLUMs outlined in LU 114 in the comprehensive plan. Further request, this motion includes summary of evidence and testimony presented to witness public hearing.
Thank you. We need a second.
Second.
Thank you.
Commissioner Rich,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Balance,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Coppinger,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert, Commissioner Warren,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale, Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gay,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison,
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Runner.
Yes, ma'am. The motion carried, and now we need to act on the zone change request. I would
Make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and conditioned upon the general development plan, docket number 2019-09Z County. Based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan and demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Thank you, sir. We need a
Second.
second. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gay,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison, Commissioner Houston,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Warren,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert, Commissioner Coppinger,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Balance,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rich,
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Runner.
Yes, ma'am. The motion carried. Our recommendation will be for approval. Thank you. Next item, docket number 2019-10Z County. Let's Chat LLC. Norman and Carol Harned and Jeff and Betsy Harned have filed an application to rezone a tract of land containing approximately 10.23 acres located at 860 Glasgow Road from agriculture to light industrial with a general development plan. Have the staff report. Mr. Peterson.
Thank you, Chair Runner. We had a pre-application meeting on this property here on January 17th of 2019. As you stated, they're looking to go from agriculture to light industrial in order to subdivide the property into 3 lots for industrial uses. This is, move on to the existing zoning here so we can kind of get our bearings. But see, it's along Glasgow, it's gone. It's along Glasgow Rd, and then you see Louisville Road here, but it's kind of on the edge of the Trans Park property there. So we look at our existing land use. Of course, this is agriculture. It's surrounded by a lot of industrial, but also a few pockets of single-family residential as well. I think I just do without the clicker. I'm not doing too well with that right now. So we'll look at the future land use map, and you'll see that the future land use map indicates that this the greatest portion of this area is all designated as industrial. On the future land use map, the proposed light industrial zone is a potentially compatible zoning designation in the industrial FLUM category, and may be appropriate if this board determines that the proposed development is compatible with the surrounding area. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on. Of course, this is the zoning boundary exhibit, but we'll look at the preliminary development plan. And with that, go ahead and look at the site characteristics review found on page 2 of the staff report. There's just a couple things I'll note here. With fire protection, this property is served by the Smiths Grove Volunteer Fire Department. This property is not yet in the city limits of Bowling Green. Water adequacy, this property is served by Warren County Water District. It does have adequate water flow to meet the minimum fire protection requirements. Natural features, there are a few sinkholes located on the property, and there is a mature grove of trees located along the northern portion of the property. I'll switch back real quick to the aerial, and you can see I guess that's the bigger sinkhole, and then that grove of trees there. So, trees there is what we are speaking of. Prime farmland, the property contains soil types that are designated as prime farmland and prime farmland of statewide importance. So we just wanted to note that. Application does generally comply with the majority of the items in the site characteristics review. We just wanted to note those. Looking at the site design and compatibility review, there's only a couple things I'll note here as well. Building orientation, staff suggests that any new structure constructed on the property should have a front facade oriented toward Glasgow Road. Landscaping and screening. Landscaping should be similar to the currently installed landscaping for the existing Trans Park. And then proposed open space. The maximum allowable lot coverage in the light industrial zone is 90%, but the applicants have committed in the development plan condition number 9 that 20% of the property will be green space. So we'll go ahead and look at those general development plan conditions, which the applicant has supplied to address compatibility. I'll go through those quickly. Number 1, the trees along the northern property line will be preserved to the greatest extent possible, subject to final engineering. Number 2, all new utility lines on the property shall be underground as permitted by utility companies. Number 3, the property will have a maximum of 2 access points to Glasgow Road to be located in coordination with and is approved by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet. Number 4, only 1 freestanding sign per developed lot, excluding directional signs, shall be placed on the property. All freestanding signs shall be monument signs, no more than 7 feet high. Number 5, when located adjacent to a residential area, site lighting shall be directed downward and away from adjacent residential uses and shall be shielded to prevent light trespass or reflection onto adjoining properties. Lighting may be shoebox style or any other style that minimizes glare and directs light downward and away from adjoining properties. Number 6, the property shall contain at least 20% green space. 7 deals with the prohibited uses. They're prohibiting tanneries, live animal or poultry sales, adult entertainment, sale, rental, or display of pornography or adult books, bingo parlors, and tattoo parlors. Number 8, no principal building shall exceed 60 feet in height. Number 9, any sinkholes encountered during construction will be mitigated prior to any development over the sinkhole. Number 10, the existing residential structure on the property will no longer be used for residential purposes after 6 months after the date of the adoption of these development plan conditions. And finally, number 11, facades of the buildings on the property shall be constructed of stone, brick, and other masonry products, but specifically excluding plain face block, steel, or cementitious siding. Moving on to page 4, looking at the Focus 2030 category review. A lot of those were mentioned earlier. I'll be happy to go over those in detail if you wish, but we identified 17 applicable goals, objectives, and/or action items for you all to determine compatibility. Of course, those are summarized there on page 4. But in summary, I'll just close by saying the applicants are proposing to subdivide the property into 3 lots in order to develop the property with a mixture of light industrial uses. There is currently the single-family residence and a barn located on the property that are proposed to remain on their own lot for up to 6 months after the adoption of this plan, if it's approved. And then this proposal does comply with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process. And of course, it's up to you all to determine compatibility. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, and the applicants are here as well.
Peterson, Number 3 seems to indicate 2 access points, but if I'm looking at the drawing properly, it appears to only show 1. Is that second one where that home is located currently?
Yeah, I think the applicants can probably further clarify this, but it's my understanding the new access point, if you will be for those 2 industrial buildings, and they're proposing to leave that second access point that's already existing for the home until they know for sure what's going to go on, how that property will all be developed.
Understood. Thank you.
Is this property going to be,
Would be a question for the applicant. I'm not positive at this time.
Any other questions before?
Thank you, Ms. Runner. My name is Kevin Brooks. I represent the owners and the applicants who are here with me. Jeff Harned, one of the owners, Brian Shirley with ACES, who's done the engineering. I'm not sure that we have anything to add to the staff report, but we are here to answer your questions if you have any.
Brooks?
do you know if the property's going to be annexed into the city
I do not.
along with the rest of the industrial park that's already out there? I couldn't see where the lines were.
In the entire Trans Park is in the city. This property is not, and we've not had any. Often that comes up in the zoning process. This is the first time it's come up, so I really can't answer it.
Do you have any questions from anyone in the audience? Do we have any opposition to this request? No opposition, no questions. Thank you, sir. Commissioners, anything before I call for a motion? Nothing? Then I will ask for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and conditioned upon the general development plan, docket number 2019-10, Z County. Based upon the testimony and the documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion includes a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Thank you. We need a second.
Commissioner Rich? Commissioner Houston?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Madison?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Balance?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Warren?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Clark? Commissioner Gay?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Coppinger? Commissioner Volkert? Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Runner?
Yes, ma'am. The motion carried. Our recommendation will be for approval. Thank you. Item number 4, 2019-11 Z County, Sawyer Williams and Luke Williams have filed an application to rezone a tract of land containing approximately 4.14 acres located on Shaker Mill Road, approximately 205 feet from the center line of Drakes Creek Street, from RS1A, which is single-family residential with a general development plan, to RE residential estate with a general development plan. And again, we'll have the staff report from Mr. Peterson.
Thank you again, Chair Runner. So we had the pre-application meeting for this property on January 31st. And it's the property you see there along Shaker Mill. This should be somewhat familiar to you. It's just the small portion that was rezoned just a few months ago. As this property has been kind of developed and formed through time, as some of the components have been moved in place, it's realized that this property is got a little different slant to it than what was originally proposed. So the applicant now wants to develop the property with up to 3 single-family lots. The proposed lots will be served by on-site septic system. The previous proposal was it was part of, or at least a piece off of the larger development that was RS1A, which was sewered and was up to 4 lots. So we've had a reduction in density and then a kind of a bit of a change in the style of the development as well. So the aerial you see before you there along Shaker Mill, I'll just point out here on this existing zoning map, you'll see this RS1C and area here, the proposed Cumberland Trace Elementary School there, and this piece outlined in red, this little bitty piece here is the piece we're talking about that is facing, that connects to Shaker Mill Road. So this is kind of being further, I guess, separated from that original zoning proposal. So the existing zoning is RS1A, as stated, that was changed last year. The existing land use, so right now the property is currently vacant and is surrounded by some single-family as well as agricultural development with some proposed new development coming. The future land use map is moderate density residential. The proposed RE zone is not listed as potentially compatible zoning designation in the moderate density residential FLUM category because the density is lower than the proposed density range. The moderate density requires for a certain density range. This is actually lower than that density range, so it's in the low density category. So the Planning Commission just must determine whether the lower density is compatible with the surrounding area or not. So just to give a little bit, the property is 4.14 acres, and the proposed density is now 0.72 dwelling units per acre. So it's less than one dwelling unit per acre. So the property is located just outside the urbanized area of Bowling Green near Drakes Creek, and the site characteristics review indicated that there were adequate facilities and infrastructure available to support the proposed development. Again, there's several mature trees located on the back portion of the property. There's also a sinkhole located on the back portion of the property. And site design has been addressed in the general development plan conditions in conjunction with the requirements of the zoning ordinance. We'll go ahead and jump to those development plan conditions. And while we're turning our pages, I have up on the screen the 3 proposed lots on the rezoning exhibit for you to see. So the applicants submitted the following development plan conditions, again, to address compatibility. The property will be developed with a maximum of 3 lots. Single-family residential structures shall be a minimum of 1,800 square feet of conditioned space, excluding garages and porches. Number 3, each single-family residence shall incorporate a minimum of 2-car attached garage. Number 4, exterior building material shall consist of brick, stone, fiber cement board. No plain face blocks shall be permitted on a visible foundation, and vinyl shall be limited to trim and soffit. No development shall occur within the limits of the existing sinkhole. Underbrush may be removed. Number 6, no trees larger than 8 inches in diameter that are in good health will be removed from the rear of the property. Trees may be pruned to have dead or deceased wood removed. Number 7, there shall be only 1 access point per approved lot. Each access point should be coordinated and approved by the Warren County Public Works Department prior to installation. Number 8, prior to platting, the applicant shall obtain an on-site septic system evaluation for each proposed lot from the Barren River District Health Department. So I'll just jump back over to page 1 on the points to consider. So the proposed RE zone is not listed as a compatible zoning in the moderate density, as the density is lower than the range. Just want to make sure we pointed that out. But the lots along Shaker Mill are currently low-density residential lots, and most of them are already larger than 1 acre in size. So the Planning Commission should determine if this less density that is proposed is more in character and more appropriate with this current proposal. The proposed development complies with the majority of the site characteristics review criteria. The general development plan complies with the majority of the review criteria for site design and compatibility and does meet the minimum requirements of the ordinance. Again, this piece was part of the larger CPR Farms development, but is now being separated off and proposed to be septic style development instead of sewer with the larger lot sizes. And the proposed lot sizes are similar to some of the already existing lots along Shaker Mill Road. Be happy to go into any further details if you wish, but I think that will conclude the staff report, and I know the applicants are here if you have any questions for them.
Questions for Mr.
Is sewer available at this location?
Not currently, no.
Thank you, Mr. Peterson. Anything the applicant would like to add? Do we have any questions for the applicant? Do we have any opposition to this request? No questions, no opposition. Anything else, commissioners, before I call for a motion? Then I would ask for a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and conditioned upon a general development plan, docket number 2019, Levinson County, based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objective and action item presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Thank you, sir. We need a second. Second. Thank you, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert, Commissioner Gay,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Warren, Commissioner Madison,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rich,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale, Commissioner Balance,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Clark,
Yes.
Commissioner Coppinger, Chair Runner.
Yes, ma'am. The motion carried. Our recommendation will be for approval. Thank you. Last item on tonight's agenda, docket number 2019-12Z County. Emil Addick has filed an application to rezone a tract of land containing approximately 5.01 acre located at 1350 Matlock Road from agriculture to rural residential with a general development plan. And we will have the staff report from Ms. Hurt.
Thank you, Chair Runner. We had a pre-application conference on February 5th for the property you see outlined in yellow located on Matlock Road. The current zoning of the property is agriculture. And just to get your bearings here, if you're not familiar with the property location, you can see that Carter, Sims, and Long Road are just to the north of the property. The current use of the property is agriculture, and you can see the majority of the uses in the area are also agriculture, with some single-family residential uses also scattered around the area. The future land use designation for the property is low-density residential. This designation comprises areas of single-family detached development and attached single-family development, including twin homes, where each unit is platted on its own individual lot with gross densities ranging from 0 to 4.5 dwelling units per acre. I'm going to jump to the proposed division here. You can see the applicant is proposing to create an additional lot for a total of 2 lots. And so with that, I'll go through the site characteristics review. Just looking at the layout, you can see this is the proposed layout. There would be 2 access points to Matlock Road. And also the setbacks would adhere to the zoning ordinance requirements for the proposed RR zone, in addition to a 100-foot building setback along Matlock Road as described in the development plan conditions, which I'll get to in just a second. Under water adequacy, we've noticed that the property is served by Warren County Water District and does not have adequate water flow to meet the minimum fire protection requirements. An additional fire hydrant will have to be installed to meet the minimum fire protection requirements if this application is approved. Under wastewater, we've noted that the existing home has an on-site septic system. The new lot will be served by an on-site septic system if the application is approved. If the proposed subdivision across the street develops first, the proposed development would have to be served by sewer. So if you look back at the zoning map here, you'll see that RS1C designation across the street there. And so in the event that this property is developed after that property is developed and sewer is available, even though the zone is RR, they could potentially have to connect to sewer if it's there first before they are to develop their property. Moving on to site design and compatibility, we've noted that the surrounding area is mainly agriculture with some rural density and low density single-family residential uses. And I also just noted the proposed subdivision across the street. There are 100 lots proposed within that subdivision. Under building materials, we've noted that the existing home is constructed of brick. The majority of homes in the area are also constructed of brick, stone, and modern masonry materials. The applicant has committed in development plan condition number 3 that each residence would be constructed of at least 80% brick, stone, ephes, or other cementitious or modern masonry materials, and plain face blocks shall be prohibited as a visible finished material. Under building orientation, staff has noted that the majority of homes in the immediate area have a front facade oriented toward Matlock Road, including the existing residents on the property. The applicant has committed in development plan condition number 5 that each residence shall face Matlock Road. I'm going to jump on to the development plan conditions. I've touched on a couple of those already, but I will hit the ones that I haven't talked about. So number 1 states that no mobile or manufactured homes will be permitted on the property. Number 2, each single-family residence shall have at least 2,200 square feet of heated living space, exclusive of garages. Number 4, each residence must have a minimum of a 2-car garage. Number 6, any trees of 8-inch diameter or greater located along the property lines are to be preserved. Trimming and pruning of trees shall be permitted. I will note that there is a tree line kind of running along the rear portion of the property, so that's what that condition is in reference to. It's kind of hard to see. It's under the yellow outline there, but there is a row of evergreen trees there. So that's what that was noting. And then next, number 7, there will be a maximum of 2 access points on Matlock Road. Any new access points shall be coordinated with and approved by the Warren County Public Works Department. And number 8, each lot shall obtain a permit from the Barren River District Health Department for septic system approval prior to recordation of a plat. On page 4, we have our Focus 2030 category review. Staff evaluated 11 items. Compliance with 5 of these should be determined by the Planning Commission. LU 113 relates to compatibility. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposal is compatible with the area. LU2 deals with quality of development. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposal is a high-quality development that will protect the character of the area. NCR 241 deals with existing infrastructure. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposal is located in an area where infrastructure already exists and if it will result in an increased amount of development pressure on the countryside. And lastly, HN 2.1 and HN 4, which deal with suitability and housing options. The Planning Commission should determine if the location of the planned development is suitable for the proposed housing type and if the proposed residential use will enhance the array of housing options available in the area. And with that, I'll wrap up with the points to consider on page 1. The proposal is consistent with the future land use map and low-density residential category. The proposed development complies with the majority of the site characteristics review criteria and also complies with a majority of the review criteria for site design and compatibility and meets the minimum requirements in the zoning ordinance. And with that, I think that's all for the staff report, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Question regarding the additional fire hydrant. You said it would be required.
It would be. So let me jump back to the map here. So if you note the 2 RE tracks that are just north of the property on Carter Sims, and then let me see if I can, I don't know, here, this may help. So there's 2 RE tracks here, and then another ag tract between the subject property and Carter Sims. So all 4 of those lots, including the one that currently exists outlined in red, would have been exempt from the fire hydrant requirement. It's the 5th lot in this subdivision that would trigger that fire hydrant having to be installed.
And the developer would be responsible for that installation?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions before we hear from the applicant?
Should it be noted in here, or will the Barren River District Health Department, if the development across the road starts developing, it would be up to the district health department for sewer or?
No,
septic?
so if this is approved tonight, if in the event that the development across the street, if sewer is available when this property is subdivided, they would have to connect to sewer. If the property is subdivided before sewer is available, then they can utilize an on-site septic system.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything the applicant would like to add? Do we have any questions for the applicant from the audience? Do we have any opposition to this request? No opposition, no questions. Commissioners, I would ask for a motion.
Motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon a general development plan, docket number 2019-12Z County, based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objectives and actions and items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Thank you. We need a second. Thank you.
Commissioner Rich?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Coppinger? Commissioner Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Houston? Commissioner Madison? Commissioner Volkert? Commissioner Balance?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale? Commissioner Warren?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Chair Runner?
Yes, ma'am. The motion carried. Our recommendation will be for approval. Thank you. That brings us to new business. Yes, sir.
Just a couple quick things. Before our next planning commission meeting, we will likely be having a budget subcommittee meeting prior to that. So if you're on the budget subcommittee, might be ready for that before the meeting. And then we have, I think, a light agenda next one item. So we'll try to get some training in after the next one. We'll try to keep that to an hour. So.
Thank you, sir. Anything else, commissioners? Nothing else? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you. Again, Mr.